always helps.
My right hand.
Avuna?
Okay. He's almost a brother.
Oh my God. I'm richer today. More richer today.
Atla ippadaaniki Padma is my sister.
Okay.
Atla that is the right relation.
ఫోన్ లో చేస్తున్నట్టు
ఇక చెల్లి అంటే బామ్మది కానీ ఏంటి అంటే ఈ బామ్మది మంచి బామ్మది
మ్యాక్సిమం వాడుకుంటున్నా.
హోప్ఫుల్లీ సౌండ్ అదే ఆడియో బాగుంటే బెటర్ చేయొచ్చు.
ఈమెయిల్లో 30 minutes సంపత్ ఒక్కసారి నేను ఇంకో లింక్ పంపుతా. ఒక బయటకు యూట్యూబ్ లింక్ ఇది ఓపెన్ చేయరా వస్తుందని చూడదు. యూట్యూబ్ లైవ్ పెడుతున్నాను.
ఓకే
నేను చూపిస్తాను మీకు నెక్స్ట్ మీరు ఓపెన్ చేసి కొంచెం బయట ఎట్లా వస్తుందో చూడండి.
మీరు సౌండ్ వినిపిస్తుందా చూడండి. బయటకు వెళ్తే వినపడుతుంది.
నేను మాట్లాడతా ఒకసారి
అటువైపు ఉంటుందా మీరు? అటువైపు
ఇక్కడ పెడదాం. సో ఇటు ఉంది అట్లా మాట్లాడతాను కదా ఇటు అందరూ నచ్చింది కదా.
ఇక్కడ చేయండి.
ఓన్లీ చార్జర్
ఎదుగు పడితే చీకటి పడుతుంది, మొత్తం డార్క్ వస్తుంది. డార్క్
నీకు లైట్ ఏది ఇక్కడ ఇక్కడ లైట్ ఉన్నాయా? ఇక్కడ పెడతాం మరి చార్జర్.
దేని గురించి వరి కాకుండా నేను బట్టి ఒక వాయిస్ ఒకటే.
కాదు ఇక్కడ పెడదామా?
Blockchain uses cases. Blockchain, smart contracts, smart assets.
ఫేస్ రావట్లే. ఇప్పుడు చూడండి.
అవసరం అంటే కిందికి చేసుకోవచ్చు. దొరికిందా?
అక్కడే ఏదో పక్కన
పోయింది. నేను అక్కడి వరకు వచ్చాక ఆల్రెడీ వెళ్ళిపోయాను.
కొంచెం బాగా ఉంటుంది.
That means we found it before we started.
Oh, that's good. కనిపిస్తుంది కానీ మీకు
మీరు అక్కడ
అది క్లియర్ లేదు. ఓకే యా
తొందరగా నేను స్వామివారికి ముందు లైట్ తొందరగా గట్టిగా ఇంటికి వస్తుంది. అదే తీసుకొస్తా లేదు లైట్ తీసుకుంటా.
ఏదేదో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు ఇవాళ, మనం భయపడద్దు.
ఏం మాట్లాడుతున్నా ఇండైరెక్ట్ వస్తుంది. అసలు
ఇంకొంచెం పెద్ద చేద్దామా?
కొంచెం పెద్ద ఇంకా ఎన్ని రోజులు కనిపిస్తుంది. ఇంకా
ఇక క్లాత్ తీసేద్దాం. ఇక
అరే గోడ క్లాత్ అవసరం లేదు. కూర్చుంటే కూడా కొంచెం
ఇక అది ఎక్కాలి ఎక్కాలండి, మీరు ఎక్కాలి. ఇక్కడ నుంచి మళ్ళీ బడ్జెట్ టెక్నాలజీ అండ్ స్పిరిచువాలిటీ దేనికైనా ఆయన పర్మిషన్ కావాలి. ఇదర్ టు లూజ్ ఆర్ ఇదర్ టు గెయిన్, ఇట్ డజంట్ మ్యాటర్. ఇట్ స్టార్ట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ హిమ్, ఇట్ ఎండ్స్ విత్ హిమ్. ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ. మనం ఏదో అనుకుంటాం కానీ ఏం కాదు. అట్లా ఉంటుంది. నువ్వు గింత గింత ఇప్పుడు ఆ వర్షం అడిగితే కొంచెం డీటెయిల్ చెప్పాల్సి. వెల్కమ్ వెల్కమ్.
బాగా 50 కాయలు తీసుకున్నారా లేదా పిక్కాయలు?
అందరికీ ఎక్కువ 4:30కి రావాలమ్మా.
నేను లేట్గా నేను వచ్చాను, వర్క్ చేస్తున్నా. పబ్లిక్ వర్క్
దగ్గర ఉన్నది
जनरल अन्निंटिनी जनरल विषయంలో ఇంకేదో తెలియని నారాజు ఏంటంట ఎందుకు వాళ్ళ అన్న ఇక పోదాం స్కూల్ కానీ రోజులా చెప్తుంది
ఏంటంటే ఇది నాట్ ప్లాన్ పోతుంది కదా అట్లా చేస్తున్నాను నాకు ఏం చేసిన Hey.
రికార్డ్ అవుతున్నా ఇది ఇంకా అచ్చా అయ్యో My phone number. Sugar వస్తుంది గ్యాస్ వస్తుంది better not stay. Good? Yes. Hello.
Yeah, we'll get couple of minutes.
ఫస్ట్ టైం వచ్చిన బయట చాలా
टिकट बेटर
లైటింగ్ లైట్ ఉంచమని
బ్యాక్లాగ్ అవుతుంది.
బ్యాక్లాగ్ లైవ్ వస్తుంది 20 seconds లెస్ దాన్ 20 seconds బ్యాక్లాగ్ అంతకంటే ఎక్కువ ఉండదు. వాడు చెప్పండి వాడు.
నేను నా సెషన్ అయిపోయినా నేను వెళ్ళిపోతాను. వాళ్ళతో వాళ్ళు మాట్లాడతారు.
ఓకే
మనము 5 o'clock వెళ్ళిపోతాం.
ఓకే
ఇది ఎవరికైనా ఒక్కరికి అప్పుడు తీసుకున్నాం.
ఓకే ఓకే
5 o'clock అయిపోయింది. సెషన్ అయిపోయింది తీసేద్దాం. ఇదేం అవసరం లేదు.
6కి అయిపోతుంది.
6 అయిపోయినాక దీపం
ఓకే
Good evening, everybody. Same faces on that side, a familiar face on this side. But the topic is different. See, the whole motto is to educate. Financial literacy is a must. Otherwise, and we're going to talk a lot more. So I just wanted to have a crack. So let me introduce. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sridhar, and I would like to introduce the team. Jax. Hello everyone. He is from Dallas. To be framed, to be given anything, I would say, he's a crypto mania. No, just using a super adjective to say he's really into it. That's what I meant to say. And our young star from campus, Mr. Ashwin. So he's a techie guy, and he will actually explain you exactly how this whole thing crumbles. No, everything works in a positive way. So let me kick off. So our session runs from 5 to 6. First we'll talk about different topics. I will introduce why crypto and why now. So the first one is USD, US dollar. The second one is Euro currency, Japanese yen, Britain, Canada, Swiss, Australia, and New Zealand. The whole world is totally dependent on a single currency that rules. It's an almighty. So a lot of countries across the world sometimes want their independence. They are independent country, but in terms of financial transactions, they are not. They are tied to dollar. Every exchange that happens across the world happens, and namely major transactions happens in USD. So a kind of revolution that has been happening across the continent from several years. First, euro dollars. Then a few banks came together. They said they'll make their own currency, like IDBI. Then Europe wanted to have a significant say in the world transactions. So like that, several things happened. So the new young millennials and few countries are now geared up with this new technology. So now the momentum and the volume of transactions and the speed and I would add acceleration to that, the things are moving in the direction. It seems for the first time, really, the mighty dollar is under a real threat. So, all the banks, if you talk to India, there are about 10, 11 banks. All the banks across India are implementing blockchain technology. See, there are two things, right? Cryptocurrency and the technology. So now, JB Diamond. Let's go to the next section. See, who runs this whole market? If you really look back and step, these are the asset managers. This is asset under management, AUM we call. It is run, these guys will decide in the end where this whole thing goes. Why? BlackRock, $5.1 trillion. Vanguard, 3.9. If you open up your 401k, I bet without even looking at your 401ks, 90% of your portfolio in your 401k is made up of these two companies. And some of them will have 100%. Without even looking at it. Because those two guys decide. And of course, State Street, it has all its ETFs. Fidelity, ETFs. Allianz, that's the only outside country with the top 5. And Germany and US always work together. JP Morgan, Bank of New York, AXA, Goldman Sachs. And in this, what is missing was Bank of America and Merrill Lynch. They are not coming in the picture because the total assets under management is now classified into a segment. They are much bigger. So if I add, I can just remove that AXA and Bank of America and Merrill Lynch will join in. Right now, the transactions are shown as the Bank of America transactions. They are shown as the Merrill Lynch yet on certain businesses. If I combine them, that says 8th one is gone. So, of top 10, 8 guys with almost $17 trillion for the morning breakfast when they have tea, their managers will come and talk to the analysts and say, let's buy this today. Let's sell this today. They really run the show. If you really look very deep how this all things goes. What some preference says, what this is. If this 8 fellow says, it will move. If 8 fellows says no. So for the first time, they are like 18 trillion, right? When this guy, crypto guy is playing around, they are looking. This guy is active, this kid is active, he seems to have a lot of energy. So they are neglecting as of now. At this point of time, they say, and of course, they don't want this momentum to rise so fast that it might come into their bread and butter. They are saying, this is crap, there is no regulation. Every single, out of these 10 guys, everyone says, crypto is a farce. Because you are now eating bread and butter. For the first time, Goldman Sachs said, blockchain technology is good and we will form a trading desk. That's the first dent of the big guy. After Goldman Sachs said that word, 3 days, Jamie Dimon came, which he was telling all along, this is all grand, blah 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 blah, right? He said 2 words, 2 sentences. One sentence is that the cryptocurrency itself is a farce, but that but is in bold, red, and in 56 font. He said, I like the blockchain technology. Right? So what this whole sums up, right? 2 guys now. They don't say explicitly, but they're very smart. So if you understand the whole process, see, I was not into equity. I'm a stocks guy. I do an options, ETFs, index. I do full time this now. But why my interest now started into this, why I want to get full time into this is when Goldman Sachs said, when JP Morgan said, and if the new guy, see, do you know who runs the Vanguard now? He's a 42-year-old kid. He is just 42 and he runs $4 trillion every day morning. He decides what to do. And that guy said privately in a dinner that I think we should go to look at crypto. So what would happen in the end if we understand things correctly is all these major coins, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, these are our main 4 as of now. And there are several whole bunch of coins other. So if we understand properly how the formation and flow of tree is, these guns could form a coin of their own and head to US dollar. So the dollar dominance is there and the momentum will be turned into their favor. And these 7 guys over a breakfast might decide, let's do something. Then this whole equation changes. So the underlying wave momentum will continue, underlying blockchain technology will be here forever, but whatever the coins, currency we are seeing will change shape, form and the content. That is the plan. That's why the presentation and the discussion is, if you are interested, this is one of the technologies you can take a look at. So I will introduce to Mr. Ashwin. He will talk to you actually the technology. So we are all, most of us are really techy guys. If you understand this technology, it's not about just trading cryptocurrency. But if you understand the technology, most of the banks are implementing this technology. Most of the credit card companies will implement this. So the whole industry will start implementing this. So Ashwin,
Hey, hi guys, I'm Ashwin. I've been involved in the crypto market for a while now. So I'm here to speak about blockchain. This is a technology which operates Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is not blockchain. Bitcoin is just one of the many applications of blockchain. So what's a blockchain? Blockchain is a decentralized ledger where all transactions are made across a peer-to-peer network. What does that mean? And so Bitcoin is the first currency which utilized blockchain to form a digital currency. So what brings value to Bitcoin? When you see we have a finite number of Bitcoins, only 21 million can be produced, and what gives value to gold? Gold is dust, so that's the reason it has value. If you can find on the road, it doesn't carry that value. So for that reason, there's a finite number of Bitcoins, and after 21 million, no more Bitcoins can be mined. So can Bitcoin be used as a real currency? A lot of economists say no, but we have seen a lot of applications to it. People are buying houses with it, and a lot of websites have been accepting payments with Bitcoin, and other currencies as well. So, and currently the Bitcoin is very volatile. You guys will see 20 to 30% swings on the day, and for that reason, it's not yet utilized in the mainstream as a currency. And can it be collected, traded, or spent? Of course, we are seeing that it's being traded. People are buying things with it. So this is a view of traditional versus blockchain. So in traditional approach, we have a ledger. The ledger is nothing but chain of payment. So whatever money comes in and out. This ledger is currently maintained by banks now. So they have authority and control of our money completely. So what blockchain is going to solve is, it's trying to take this ledger out of the centralized system and distribute it among all the people who participate in the network. So when you distribute this, then now we have another problem. All these ledgers should be synchronized. To synchronize this ledger, we have people called miners. So now the miners come into the picture. So yeah, if a ledger, when a ledger is openly available to everyone to look at and to view all the transactions to see where the money is, you have that's called an open ledger. So in blockchain, we have this open ledger distributed to everyone. So when I want to make a transaction, what I do is I send a transaction, and this transaction is valid to everyone in the network. So all these miners will be able to see the transaction, and when they see the transaction, these miners will have to validate the transaction. They'll have to say that this is a valid transaction. For that reason, they compete among themselves, and the first person who is able to decode this, and so there's this complex algorithms which the miners use to make sure the transaction is valid. So yeah, so once they validate the transaction, they are usually rewarded. If it's a Bitcoin network, then they are rewarded with Bitcoin, and it carries value. For that reason, a lot of people are doing it. And yeah, so once we have this valid transaction, it is broadcasted throughout the network, and the other miners. So the first person who did it, he'll get rewarded, and the other miners, what they do is they'll have to go and validate this transaction. They'll have to go and validate the transaction, saying that this transaction is valid. They'll have their own algorithms running, and they validate it. And when they finally confirm that this is a valid transaction, that is added into a block. So this block is added to the blockchain. Every 10 minutes, a new block is created. A new block is created, and that block is added to the blockchain. For Bitcoin, it's 10 minutes. For other coins, it's much lesser. So there are many coins which are trying to improve on what Bitcoin has left behind. And let's see what are the use cases of blockchain. Apart from cryptocurrency, there are many other uses as well, like smart contracts.
Can you explain the miner again one more time? And what the benefit they do get out of it? Like when they have the transaction, they get the money.
Yeah, if they validate the transaction, they'll be paid by Bitcoin.
Or Bitcoin pays the miners.
Yes, it's self-executing process. It's already there. The code is on GitHub and everything, so it's self-executing process. The miners, there are a lot of people who, the initial developers who have supported it. It's throughout the network, and people can go change the code and build upon it.
So Ashwin, one more question on top of that. Once all 31 million bitcoins are mined, at that point, who's gonna validate? So what is the...
Yeah, but there are still transactions, right? I want to send Bitcoin to someone, I want to send it to you, then that's still a transaction. So miners come into picture again.
So there will be a charge, like if I want to send money to you, there will be some charge, that's how Bitcoin is gonna make and pay to the miners.
Yes, there's a charge. So currently, if you want to send anything, if you want to send money to India, we have all these third parties, right? So all these third parties which are doing the same, but with this blockchain, we'll be able to reduce the cost, and the time is reduced a lot. So for that reason, this is the application of currency with blockchain technology.
So how much time typically takes, let's say I should make a transaction to you?
So for Bitcoin, it takes about 30 minutes.
30 minutes, somebody with 30 minutes will validate this and it will be part of the
Yes,
blockchain.
a new block is created every 10 minutes. So the transaction will be, so there's a chain of transaction. So if you're missed in that block, you'll be added to the next block, and the block continues. And all these blocks will be added to the blockchain.
Until that time, I won't see the money into my ledger until somebody has validated.
Yes, but you can see the transaction once you send the money. It's all open, it's all transparent. So you can. There are many like BlockCypher there are many sites which show you where the transaction is, how many confirmation you got. So for Bitcoin, you'll have to have 6 confirmations to make it a valid transaction and to bring it into the blockchain.
6 people has to validate and everybody is getting compensated.
Yes.
All 6 will be compensated.
No, it's just the one person, the first person who does it, the 6, but others have to go and validate it.
So, but for them, what is the benefit? If they are not getting paid, only the first guy is.
They'll be able to, if they do it the next time, then they'll be wait for it.
It's a competition.
Yeah, it's a competition.
Who comes first come first serve.
They don't know. When
Yeah.
they are competing, they don't know.
Right.
Okay, got it.
Right. Now, like running is 100-meter sprint. Whoever comes to hit the first button gets it.
Yeah.
That's why there are more miners running around figuring out right to become rich quickly. So Ethereum has a concept, right? Like blockchain, Ethereum is much faster.
Yeah, there are many. Now there are a lot of currencies which can solve it in 10 seconds, like 1 minute. Yeah, there are a lot of currencies built upon this, so we can expect a lot.
What's the unique identifier of the ledger? How do you identify?
So we have a public address. The public address is different, and then we have a private address.
Public, private.
So if you have a Gmail account, right? You have a Gmail ID. You have your password. So Gmail ID is your public address. Password is your private. You won't give your private key to everyone. You won't give your password to everyone. If you give it, then you use it. It's the same. Same with the communication. So
So
yeah,
if you want to send the money through the Ethereum or the Bitcoin, all you need to say is your like Gmail ID, you send your address. So somebody can go from their address to your address. Like you share it to your account number, somebody has to deposit the money.
so what is it generated? Is it Bitcoin generated by the No, like we have wallets. Jack will cover all of that later, but just for speaker. So yeah, so these are the different applications of blockchain. One of the applications is smart contracts. Smart contracts is code which is self-executing. So let's say if an event is triggered, like expiry date is met or stock price increased, we can have this all coded into blockchain. So it is self-executing, which will reduce any manual effort, and there's no need of any intervention. It is self-executing. Yeah, so all these transactions or agreements are executed automatically in smart contracts. And smart assets. So smart assets are, so when we take supply chain, we have the smart assets. Smart assets are considered, let's consider goods as the smart assets. So these smart assets are associated to the financials in real time. So if there's any damage or any delay or anything, there's an association to it real time, and that is improve a lot on the logistics of the company. It is used widely to trade finance, supply chain, and things like that. It has a lot of applications. And then for clearing and settlement. So currently banks spend billions of dollars every year in doing this clearing and settlement. When with Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, the trade accuracy is greater, and the settlement process, the time taking is very short, and it's very the cost is very much reduced. So a lot of financial institutions these days have been approaching cryptocurrencies to help them in building a model for them to support the clearing and settlement. Let's say Ripple and Stellar, for example.
Right. Just add a question. Let's put it in a real context, real time example, right? How much medical insurance have increased every year? Everybody's $40, $50. Why does that increase happen? Just think about it for a second. And who really makes all the money, 80% of the money, is the middleman. The billers. The billers make 70%. And you all know, right? You go to emergency, that sells $2,000 to you. Does it really take $2,000? The middleman charges all this way. This whole thing, as a concept, we want to eliminate that middleman as much as possible.
Yeah, so of course it can be used as a payment network. We have current frameworks like ACH, which are already functioning. Payment, yeah, it'll be helpful in cross-border transfers, from bank to bank transfers, and yeah, because you're eliminating a lot of middlemen here, which you just have the cost is very much reduced. It's only the cost which we pay for the miners. So for that reason, it can be used as payment. And digital identity. So currently we need a system which will support Internet of Things. Internet of Things is nothing but a software or a program or a device which can be associated to any homemade home appliances or your car or anything. So they are self-sufficient. So for handling this, we need Internet of Value. Blockchain will be able to provide this Internet of Value. It is just like the voice over protocol. We have money over protocol, money over Internet protocol. So it will utilize the MOIP, and which will provide a solution for Internet of Things. Yeah, so that is just an introduction on blockchain. I hope you guys were able to follow. And if you guys have any questions.
You said finite number of bitcoins, like 21. Is it like in the company of the stock they have limited? Is it like that?
Yeah, it's whenever a particular coin is in the market, they define a number of coins. Okay, so why the Bitcoin value is increasing because there are finite number. Everybody wants to try to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, that's similar to an asset. Why is there's a value to any asset? Because it's finite. If I make unlimited bitcoins, why will I go buy the coin?
So is it for type of coin or across all the coins?
Like each coin has its own number.
So it depends on the
It depends on the algorithm, yeah. And how many coins they want to produce. Now these are their ICOs and everything. Jax will be speaking more about
We'll
it.
talk more details as well. And this is just a pure technology.
Yeah, this is just you guys can understand how the technology works.
I remember seeing the unmine.
Sorry?
I remember seeing the unmine. What do you mean by in a previous slide?
Yeah, so there are finite numbers of bitcoins which are mined and unmined. Mined is what the miners do, right? It is already mined. I have Bitcoin. I have 2 bitcoins, so it's already mined. I have it in my wallet. So there are unmined bitcoins sitting out there which are not mined yet.
I see.
Which are not mined yet. People have not bought it yet. Yeah. So, remaining percent of whatever is left.
Some owner has kept it in his pocket.
Yeah.
And the pocket address is not revealed. And it will come when it is particular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll now hand over.
So now this whole event is being sponsored by a service. It's called OM, and Jay will give you an introduction and he will talk more into that. Jay, please.
Okay. Omi is not here because he's from India. So, thanks to Ashwin for explaining in detail blockchain technology. I'll also suggest you guys to go through YouTube. Just type blockchain, you'll get 20 different videos. Pick one that has most number of views. Watch it in your free time when you're sitting in the party, taking a shower. It's easy. This technology is easy. You guys are taking guys. Nothing is tough. But when I started, like probably a year ago, I was so confused where to start, how to start. I don't know anything. Struggling. Like if I need to trade stocks, which I know, and options, which is like very simple. I know I need to go to a broker, just trade it. Right now to buy a coin, you got to go to Coinbase, then transfer it to somewhere to buy another coin. It gets totally confusing. And the other thing I also noticed is less information. You guys don't have much information on that, like no history. You have to trust someone or take a decision. Oh, my friend is buying 20,000 coins of Ripple because it processes like 1 million transactions per second. Let me go buy it. But you do not know what level to buy, whether you are entering at the right price. Are you really paying for the value? Or are you simply buying because your friend is buying? And a lot of information, if you go type something, and people can say, oh, this is a scam, don't buy it. There is 20 different websites that are against Ripple, if you do a small Google search. So you don't know a lot of information out there. So I was struggling myself when I started this. I was like, is my money safe? I'm going to put this money here. What happens next? Who is going to manage the risk? End of the day, it's my money that's going out of my pocket. I buy a Bitcoin today at $17,000. Tomorrow it is $13,000. I lost $4,000 overnight. So am I doing the right thing here? Who is helping me here? I had tons of these questions. So, and another one, which is very important, you would hear a lot, is missing the bus, also called FOMO, fear of missing out. Someone said to me, buy it, I got to go, right away. Nothing would happen if you miss it, right? Theoretically, but that fear is great. And that drives you crazy, that guy is buying. Some people will say like, doubters or haters, they will say, this is all a scam. I'll be a spectator. I want to see everybody cry when they lose their money. Like there is a lot of personalities, a lot of thoughts that go into your mind and you are so confused what to do next. So I was struggling myself and got associated with a couple of people from India, Indians of course, right? We are like very good in that, and one of them is Wong. He's very good. He's always proved successful, like he helped me greatly, like to educate myself. Hey, do this time, like that. So he has a 10 group of people, 10, 15 group of people, and together they have 20,000 hours of effort. They continuously focus on cryptos. They look at ICOs, which coin is good, which is bad, what has value, what doesn't have value, what is a scam, what is not a scam. This is what they do. What they do not have is the resources or money to pull from here and pump up or help them also grow. So we formed an alliance and started a service called Crypto Simplified Service to help a lot of people and address these questions. It is a subscription service. Basically, the people do all the work. They do all the work, do the analysis, technical, fundamental, everything. The team behind the Crypto Simplified, they do the analysis. Jex is one of our advisors. He was like looking like that. So yeah, he's one of our advisors. He helps us make some decisions. And ICOs. Everybody buys a coin once it hits exchange right now, and a lot of ICOs are like coming up. Everybody has some idea what an ICO is, or want me to go a little bit. ICO is where, like an IPO, you need money for a business idea, but that idea is based on blockchain technology. So people are coming with idea, like 10 people sitting in a room coming with an idea, setting up a website. How long it takes to set up a website? 15, 20 minutes. And then they say, okay, buy my coin, right? You don't want to buy those things because they disappear the next day. One of the coins that disappeared is Doji, D-O-G-E. Probably many people know that. People bought millions of coins, they're gone now. There is no development. The product is not being manufactured anywhere. It's all in the air. So you got to be very careful. Around 1,400 coins are there out there, and only 8,200 are actually bringing value to you. And what level to buy, what level to come out of the trade. I mean, every trade goes up or goes down. You will lose money in something, you will gain money in something. But at the end of the day, if your equity is shooting up, you're fine, right? That's normal trading, part of the trade. Nobody gives guarantee to you like you make money in 100% of the trades. If they do that, right? Because nobody can predict future, like tomorrow, what happens, right? So that's where our team focuses mainly on like giving entry and exit criteria, providing market updates, customer service. And the team, we also subscribe to premier services. We also saw like who is our competition, like what are the others doing. So there is Tika Tiwari, you hear about him a lot. He charges you like $4,000 to just get his subscription, and he sends one alert per month. So we go like, okay, this is not value to anybody, you know, like. And whenever he suggests a coin, it pumps up and then again it starts dumping down. Because there is no value associated with it, no technical analysis, those kind of things. Which we all have because we are techies, we do technical analysis, and we brought our Wall Street or stock market experience into this, trying to put indicators on the charts, trying to get the levels of support, levels of resistance, get all those details, and then provide an alert. So we were already subscribed to those services, so our subscribers will also get that as a free. Learning and growth, which is very important, like Sridhar was saying, everything is educational for you. Just because Jax or me or someone is saying, take this trade, you don't have to. End of the day, it's your money that's at the risk. You see it, do some research, high level. If it works to your profile, yeah, take it. Don't put all money in one basket kind of thing, then take it. Then you'll make money. We had, I mean, I don't have the slide here, but we have a success rate up to like NEO, we suggested at 32. Chinese coin, everybody knows about NEO, it is like, this morning it was, what do you think? 175. 175. That's one of the technology, upcoming technology coin we have suggested, which our people make a lot of money on. I would simply say like, your subscription fee, which is very minuscule in 0.1 Ether, 0.2 Ether, for monthly, quarterly, annual, you'll probably make in 5 or 6 trades by yourselves. Like, you'll get the money back. Whatever you're spending, you'll make it back. So we have Ramesh in the back. I would not take much time here. Ramesh is helping me to take some registrations on behalf of WOM and our team. If anybody wants to talk to him more, get more information, he has also a flyer, which we will distribute at the end of the seminar. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions on anything, or past successes or anything, we'll be happy to share. Okay? Now, the man you're all waiting for, Jax.
So, thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
And thanks, Ashwin, right? See, the whole fun part sorry, it's not visible. say this whole funds thing started in 2016. It is there for a long time. But the peak levels, these are historical snapshots of January 3rd, 2016. These are the top 20. You can't really see the numbers. After this class, I will send you this slide. If you see what happened to the same 20 coins in 2017, and then as of now, how they are doing in 2018, and overall picture of one is up by 1300%, one is up by 8600%. This is 8600%, and one is up by 30,000%. Another is 5,000, very small, right? 9,000, 700, 1,600, 15, 16. See, like Jay said, right? See, who can form a coin? If you have a bunch of people come together, we can form a coin, market it $10. So like that, whenever we see this type of high mass hysteria towards one thing, everybody wants to try it away. So there are a bunch of good things happening and a whole bunch of bad things are happening at the same time in relative terms. But how do we filter? How do we want? Because we all want to be part of this right too, if there is a chance. So to have that in a better perspective, what is a better way? Let me introduce to Jax, and he will talk a little bit more in details about that. Jax.
Hello everyone. It's a working day for you guys, right? Monday. And thanks for having me. And all that planning activity that we did, really appreciate it. So how many of you have started crypto trading in the last 6 months? How many of you started a couple of months ago? A couple of months ago. You are one of the 5%. All of you who are sitting here, you are one of the top 5% of the people who got to know about cryptocurrency. We just started. We just scratched the surface. I would say that this is once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm not really exaggerating. The reason is that nobody ever said the blockchain technology is bad. Everyone says that blockchain technology is here to stay, right? But there is a lot of else going on. Okay, there are several, as our friend said, more than 14,000 coins are there, and there is different aspects are going on, right? It's like fear of missing out. These kind of aspects are happening. So I have to congratulate all of you because you are one of those 5% of the people who got to know about this. So I believe that 2018 is going to be a great year. If not entire 2018, at least first half of 2018 is going to be big. But there are the positives and there are negatives. It's not that you get into a coin when it's high. We are going to take some examples. So before that, I'd like to share this disclaimer. The presentation and the training that we are doing now is for education purposes. It is not considered as any investment or trading advice, and each one of us are responsible for our trading decisions, right? So Ashwin has covered cryptocurrency basics, right? Essentially, why it started? Why it started? Because somebody has had a vision to start something. When we are making the transactions, the bank-to-bank transactions, we know what is going to be the wire transaction fee. So how much banks are making. So one gentleman, Santoshi, he wanted to create a peer-to-peer electronic transfer system, right? So originally he thought of doing it. Let's say if I'm Jax, I want to send it to Sridhar. So what is the easiest way of sending the money? So that is how it started. But eventually it has become a bit hard. Okay, so Bitcoin is, you would say that it's a 21st century wonder, because after .com, this is what we are saying. Okay, now see here, look at the quote at the bottom here. It is never crowded around the extra mile. What does it mean? Whenever we get into the new technology, anything new coming in the market, at least we need to give it a try, right? We need to give it a try and make sure that whether it's really worth trying, right? So any new technology, let me give my example. My story is I have been trading for the last 22 years. So my story started when I was in India. 4 of my friends, we gathered 6,000 rupees each, and we formed into a pool, 4 members, that was 24,000 rupees, and then we started investing in IPOs, primary and secondary. So that is in 1994-95. Since then, I have seen that the .com boom. So in the .com boom, what has happened? Right? Whenever you pick a stock, any stock you pick, 10x, 15x, like that, within months, it used to happen, right? So that hype was there. So here currently we are in the hype cycle when it comes to cryptocurrency. So then what has happened was, after that, what has happened to the .com burst, right? So because anything that goes fast, too fast, okay, it has to fall, right? So now in this cryptocurrency, some point in time we'll reach that stage. We'll reach that stage and it's going to crash. We have seen in 2017 how many times Bitcoin has dropped? 7 times. There are 7 crashes in 2017 for Bitcoin, right? So some of you would have traded stocks, and some of people who have reached out to me, they did not trade any stock in their lifetime, okay, and they wanted to get into the cryptocurrency. They just wanted to get into the cryptocurrency. I have $5,000, I want to put it on Ripple. When Ripple is at $2.20. Right? So somebody said that, okay, Ripple is a good coin, it is going to hit $50 and $100. And I have seen at least 10 to 15 people reached out to me asking whether I invest in Ripple. So always I say,
yeah, just to energize, right? This Mass History guy is so fun. Most of us have been in this 2000, right? See, and most of us have lost money, and after that, for 7 years or 8 years, everyone does the stock market. Now, what is happening, right? Lot of housewives. Instead of the husband, housewife says, let's go into it. So, when you see this type of mass history here, with uncommon understanding of what actually happening, this thing stands. Half of the people who really, see, if you look at the numbers, they are just staggering. The amount of people who opened accounts were, let's say, 1. And in another 24 hours, that is going by 4x. Accounts opening, forget about trading. So these whole things are adding up where things would fall. But as I said, right, that fall would be happen to certain points. But in the overall context, whether the technology survives or not, are we part of that? That's where our filtration should come.
Essentially, that is where the importance, right? When to buy a coin, so when to exit, having proper risk management, that is very key. Otherwise, what will happen is that towards the end of the .com bust, what has happened? Some people made money, some people lost, right? So we'll go over some of the examples, and and I'll take some examples and key examples in the coming slides. So this is a big picture. So here this shows entire picture about cryptocurrency, right? So just to give one example here, the BTC was at $41 billion in June 30th, end of second quarter. Now it is 234 billion. So that means almost 6 times. The entire cryptocurrency market on June 30th, it was 100 billion. Now it is about 700 billion. So that means 7 times. Did you ever see any stock going 5x, 4x? How many of you saw in .com time? How many of you traded in .com times? Any of you? Okay.
You name it, Cisco, Intel, anything related to tech?
Yeah, it is go, right? So that used to be the high cycle there, okay? And then, so how many of you traded stocks between 2000 to 2004? Any of you? Okay. So what was your experience? I mean, let's make it more, conversational.
I don't think that traded is the right word. I bought it. 2004, wherever it was going, and find it.
Okay. All right. So there are a ton of strategies, especially when it comes to the cryptocurrency or stocks. So here, the potential that we have is huge, but at the same time, we need to have some checks and balances. So that we are going to cover now. So this top 20 currencies we covered. Okay. So how many of you have more than 4 exchanges in this group? Can you raise your hands? 3 to 4 exchanges. Okay. All right.
5 people.
5 people. So some of us have more than 10 exchanges. All of them are listed here, right? So just to start, when you are starting your trading, so I'll keep it at the low level, at the beginner level, and we can go to the next level, right? So many people started asking these questions like, okay, I have US dollars, okay? Can I go and buy Ripple directly? Can I go and buy Ripple directly? So you need to go to the base currency like BTC or Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum or Litecoin to buy, to convert your US dollars. You have to buy those base currencies, and from there you can buy it in GDAX or Coinbase, and then you have to take your coins, base currencies, to other exchanges to buy other altcoins. So that is how we buy coins, other coins. So basically, when you are moving coins from one exchange to other exchange, you need to make sure that you have to use the same the coin address. Let's say you are depositing Ethereum from GDAX into Binance, you have to use Ethereum address. If you try to send to other coin address, you lose money. So here, this is a summary here where it shows what are the different coins you can trade in each exchange. So from GDAX and Coinbase, you can use US dollars to buy BTC, BCH, ETH and LTC. And Gemini is one of the good exchange where you can get better price than GDAX. And similarly, my favorite exchange is Binance and Bittrex. So that is where, if you have these 4 accounts, definitely you will be able to trade most of the coins. But new ICOs are being traded in Ether Delta and other exchanges. So make sure that, what I encourage is that though you're not using, it's better to create an account and have it ready. We never know when the opportunity comes, right? So you can have more than 3-4 exchanges, because some of the coins, recently listed coins, Lambda, it is in Ether Data. So you need to use this. Anyway, we are going to send this presentation to you. Okay. So look at this. I want to cover this. How many of you are awake on November 12th night? Raise your hand. November 12th. So that is when the BCC it shot up to 2000. I should be here.
No, you continue. Well,
Yeah.
no worries.
2400, it touched almost 0.4 BTC, right? So on that day I was awake until 2 a.m. in the morning. I was just watching. So what has happened on that day for me was, somehow I missed the ride, somehow I missed here, the entry, okay? Now I was watching, my background is that, I traded stocks just by looking at the charts, without putting any technical indicators. So I would have traded about 300 different stocks, across, $0.2 until, Apple, Google level. So what has happened to me here was I missed the rate. So now there are multiple opportunities here. So one opportunity is here, if you get in here just before it is going up. So look at the volume. There are many exchanges, you will be able to see the volume. Okay? So whenever it is going up, it's a flat line and there is a volume picking up. So that should be the good entry point. Okay? So I missed the entry point here. Now when you are going up like this, if you are a day trader, there are ton of opportunities there. So for example, here you look at this, because this is moving so fast, the moves are up to 0.02 BTC. The maximum was 0.4 BTC, this was, it hit that. But here, there are ton of opportunities here, so if you are day trader.
So, when we all trade stocks, right? If we want to buy Apple, we can only buy one share of Apple. We can't buy 0.5 shares of Apple. But the beauty about this cryptocurrency, and a lot of people say I'm cryptocurrency, when they say they can buy 0.0001 of BTC, which is maybe $100. So with $100, you can be in cryptocurrency? Yes. So how the whole thing is structured is, I have a finite number of bitcoins, but my mathematical things is I can go below 1 and my number is infinity. So I have a whole bunch of bitcoins in the mathematical term. So what Jax is talking is about day trading. Some of you are looking either for a trading or an investment. So we have to look at a different perspective altogether.
Okay.
So I will be leaving. I have some other appointment. Thank you all for coming. And Jax, Ashwin and Jay will take the questions if you have any concerns or things. And I will send as an email this whole thing. You can take a review, read, understand. It's all about education. Learn. If it helps, implement. If you have learned, there is nothing wrong. That's the whole premises of this conversation today. Thank you so much.
So alright guys, so let's look at this and identify different. Yeah, so I'll just give a few examples where, how many of you are long-term investors in this? Just raise your hands. How many of you are swing traders? How many of you are day traders? Okay, alright. So here let's talk about this. If you are a long-term trader, if you get into this position when it is here, when it is started picking the volume, right? So how do you know when it is picking the volume? Obviously, you need to have some kind of inside information. You need to subscribe to some service where, at least you will get some hints, right? So here I have a team of 10 people and we analyze the stocks, and whenever the stock is picking up, we'll get to know. So that means that when you are working, when you are trading or investing, when you are doing individually, there are few opportunities, but when you work in a group, there will be many opportunities. So most of you would have been in ideas group, and I just post something like this, like XRP pop. So that is the entry point. XRP pop is, so this is going to pop. So similar thing happened with Ripple, right? Ripple we have been holding since 10 to 15 cents, right? We have been holding, and suddenly one day, I don't remember the exact date, so it started picking up. So when you see the volume is the best indicator when you look at the stocks, when you look at the cryptocurrency. Okay? So now, for the long-term trader, this is the entry point. Whereas, if you are a day trader, there are multiple opportunities here. The moves are rapid moves. It cannot go straight up, right? Now, what has happened was, on that day, many people bought here. Because that person came to know about Bitcoin Cash when it hit 0.4 BTC. Okay? And many groups, many pumps and dump groups said that it's going to cross BTC, right? So, what I'm saying is that if you want to go long term, always try to buy low. That is the secret. Think of a price that it won't hit, it will hit in cryptocurrency. Because if you look at BTC, any coin can drop up to 30 to 50%, right? So that is the reason why let the price come to your place, your price. Okay? Don't chase. When you chase, what will happen is that when you buy here, and then all the people will freak out, and many people right now, Ripple, those who bought at $2.20, now they are asking what to do, right? So keep this in mind, because end of the day, the preservation, protecting our capital is very important aspect. Okay? Any questions here on this?
So, how do you know when it is like going to drop? So you know that you're saying that pool is going up or down.
Exactly. I'll tell you the exact example. Power. We were trading power. Power ledger. Come on. It started and it's just exactly like this. Then I told my friend, it cannot go up forever. So here, yes, it comes with experience, but definitely, if any coin is up by 10x, 5x in 1 week time, just pass on, you will get ton of opportunities, right? And if it is 1x, probably with a lot of volume, we will be able to get in. But 20x, 10x, if you are a good day trader, you can invest, you can do it. Otherwise, no. Absolutely no. Right? Any other questions on this? Yeah.
So, I don't day trade or swing trade, but I would still want to have my stop losses in place, and I just want to know what's your stop loss strategy for long term.
Yeah. So when it comes to stop losses, because the moves are very wide here, right? So 30 to 50% is given, right? So there are two ways you can put the stop losses. You can put mental stop loss, and you can actually place a stop loss order, right? So it all depends on your comfort level, right? So what happens is that if you put a stop loss at 30% level, it hits your stop loss, and that is closed, and then the coin will move up. So those kind of problems are there. So that is the reason why I recommend at least you invest in at least 10 to 15 or 20 coins. Do the diversification, right? So that way you will not see a big difference, right? So if you have a good portfolio with the 10 to 15 or 20 coins, essentially your risk is divided among multiple things.
I want to add another thing. So for stop loss, when you're talking about long term, a Bitcoin, you see people have sold it for 400 or 500. Where's Bitcoin now? So when you are going for long term, you have to look at what coin are you going for. Try to do some research on it, and only then if you know it has potential, then it will take you to move to that. And people who keep holding it are called hodlers. That's a window.
So if you believe in coin, just hold it.
Yeah, just hold it.
Okay. So I'm not there are folks in this room like Ashwin, he is kind of hold for the lifetime. So this is the lingo here, HODL. How many of you know about HODL? All of you, most of you, right? Right? So this is a misspelled word for hold, right? So this is, so you can keep it forever, so this is a concept, right? There are some traders, some investors, they buy and keep it longer, I'm not saying it's a bad strategy, yes, you can have it, but my strategy is always, I always scale in and scale out, right? So if you look at this particular coin, I'll go back to this example because I think you should memorize this chart and you should. So I day traded here a few times and most of the trades are successful. Then I started buying from 0.15 BTC when it dropped 0.12 I guess 0.12 to 0.15, and then I scaled into the position and I bought it until it hit 0.1. Then again you see where it is 0.2. Right. So essentially what I do is that I scale in gradually, slowly, and then I scale up gradually. So while doing this, what happens is that you are taking out some profits. You are taking out some profits. So that is one strategy. Any questions on this?
So volume is the one way of identifying the coin?
Yes, volume is the main characteristics because those who traded stocks, you know that you put all the moving averages, all this. But here, look at this market here. This whole market is controlled by 5% of people, right? And the market is not stable, right? It's not Apple, it's not Google, right? So these coins, just like our penny stocks, they move rapidly. So always, you will hit the price. Let's say if you want to buy a coin, okay? If you want to buy a Ripple, just put a price, scale in orders. One day it will hit, right? So that is one of the strategies you can try. Any questions?
Quick question. So, which exchange, like which coin to buy in which exchange? Like, do you have any?
Yeah, this is covered here. Yeah, this particular thing is
a lot of altcoins, right? You have a lot of altcoins. I know, like I can only buy BTC, Ether, like all those kinds using US dollars, right?
Yes.
I cannot buy the altcoins, but a lot of exchanges offer a lot of altcoins. And exactly, I think I can buy in Germany and other exchanges. So where should I really buy my XRP? If I'm buying.
Yeah, if you are buying an XRP, there are two ways to look at it. So if you go to browser, is it? So here, no. So if you go to Coinbase, CoinMarketCap, you type in the coin, and then there is a tab called markets. So there you will see the markets, and there you will see the volume also.
So
based on that you will be able to do that. Yeah. And also when you are looking at the exchange, when you are identifying the exchange, you need to look for the lower fee. So fee is going to be a huge component. Fee is going to be a huge component. Any other questions?
How do you keep track of which coins are where? Like, do you have one center?
So there are apps like coin tracking. So coin tracking can be used to track your coins. Okay. So this is
I have a question.
yeah, sure.
Do you think sometime during the trading hours or whatever, basically you think the price is manipulated? Because we saw sometimes where Bitcoin Cash went up close to 6,000 or something and there was no volume at all. And I think some people entered into it and the exchange took it.
Yeah, right. So
but actually the Bitcoin Cash never went to that place. It might be one trade they shut it up. A lot of people earn money. So
Yeah, right. So there are some pockets, the US is a market, and the Asia is also a huge market, right? Asia is also a market. Sometimes, what we see is that one of my friends is a long-term investor, and what he does is he buys the dollar average on every week, every Friday, Saturday. So he thinks that on that day, on those days, you'll be, getting it at a cheaper price.
Actually, what you are asking for is a true thing. Today there was an article saying that one guy manipulated Bitcoin value from 150 to 1000, and from there, it took off. So it can be manipulated by
it's completely.
some big shot, some institutional guy. So he can really track the needle. He can.
There's manipulation. So people who are holding a lot of coins, they're called whales. So they can easily manipulate when they're moving from one coin to another. They can increase the price of one, and the price of the other one will fall down. So you'll have to be careful with this manipulation. They happen a lot.
Yeah. So essentially, when the volume is controlled by coins are controlled by few whales, obviously they are controlling the market, right? So they can move. This kind of moves are happen only with the whale investors, right? They pump, and down.
Can I add something to it?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah. So why it is manipulating? Let's understand. Right now it is not a regulated market. The way the capital market, there is a circuit level, upper circuit and a lower circuit. A particular stock cannot go more than 10% higher or lower, right? But crypto market is new. There are no regulations. There is no SEBI sitting here to check who is doing what. And of course, that's why the markets are going 100% up and down. So this is where this market is the place, because we are the first, as Jack said, we are the first top 5%, right? So because we are the first 5%, we can actually look at this market and make like 500 times or 1000 times of the money. Now tomorrow, say after a year, SEBI comes into regulation and say, okay, you know what? All the no more of the coin can go up and higher, above and lower 10%. Well, you know what? The maximum money you can make in a day is a 10%. Like JNS, we saw JNS last week. I don't know if somebody has tracked JNS. It went from like $17 to $18, and it went back to like 6 cents or 7 cents end of next year. So this kind of manipulation is done because there is no regulation right now.
The bad thing is they don't let you sell. They let you buy.
They let you.
Yeah.
Do you guys anticipate or see any kind of future can be regulated?
Yeah, it will be definitely regulated. There's always two forces here, right? So
Anytime soon.
So all the coins, whoever are coming up with the coins promoters, they are trying to control the market, and the central bank is not going to stay alone, right? I mean, they want to get the control back, right? So then those kind of events are happening. China event, what is happening in South Korea. So some kind of regulations are going to come, right? So which is why it's very volatile. So what I recommend is that I put together some guidelines. Let's go over the guidelines and we'll discuss, take some examples. So when it comes to the cryptocurrency investment, we have seen examples. Somebody took a mortgage or sold the home to start buying the coins, right? So it all depends on your risk appetite, right? So here, whatever your capital is, right, total investment capital is, decide what percentage of the amount you want to invest in cryptocurrency. Okay, it could be 20%, 30%. It all depends on your comfort level. And some of you would have been trading stocks for years, right? So you have not seen this kind of moves other than the .com period, right? So don't invest the money that you cannot afford to lose, right? So allocate some capital and try it out, right? Start small, and if it is working out, you can add. But don't put the huge amount and then suddenly it's 30% down, 20% down, right? So that's that. And also develop your own strategy, right? It's not that Jack's or Jay's suggesting a coin, you buy it, right? So if you buy, what will happen is, it will happen what we have seen with Bitcoin Cash or Ripple, right? So don't buy when it is too high, okay? And again, the buy low and sell high. This works. This is the only technique that works in cryptocurrency. Nothing other than that, right? So there are guys who chase the coin and finally they end up burned up.
One big question. Low as in 52-week low or 1 week low? How do
Yeah. So the best benchmark would be probably, let's say, if you look at the Ripple chart, just look at the Ripple chart and how it was trading until November. Okay, look at that. It's pretty much it is 10 cents to 15, 20 cents, 30 cents, and it stays in that range, right? So all of a sudden in December, it shot with the ball, right? So that is going to be your entry point. Even at that time, even if it's 30% up, it should be okay. But don't buy the pull when it is at 10x, right? And also when it comes to cryptocurrency, always we have heard this one, the buy the rumor and sell the news, right? So most of the pump and dumps what we see in the market, right? McAfee and other folks, right? When he releases coins, I sell the coins at that time. Right? So we need to look for those opportunities. There are ton of opportunities. Only thing is we need to wisely identify what is the right strategy for you guys. And also I told you the diversification is very important. I just put 10 coins, but I personally hold about 150 coins, different coins, because you need to have. I'm not saying you go to that extent, but at least you need to have 20 coins, 20 to 30 coins, decent coins. Yeah, we talked about the chase. The other thing is that don't forget Warren Buffett rules. The 2 rules, right? Don't lose money, and second rule is don't forget the rule number 1, right? It's end of the day, it's our hard-earned money, right? If you invested, let's say, just as an example, $10,000, if it is down 50%, you will end up 5,000, right? You have to double the amount to reach that $10,000, right? So invest small. If you are comfortable, you start increase your portfolio size, and also try to form into a small group where you can collaborate, learn more, right? So end of the day, each one of us, we have family, job, and cryptos, right? So we have only limited time, right? So only thing that is possible is that if you collaborate, then you will get ton of opportunities. Okay? And also, most of you are in Ideas Group. We are promoting the Ideas Group just because 1 year ago, somebody taught me how to move a coin from one exchange to other exchange. He told me one thing, okay? Jax, you learned that from me, okay? Same thing you educate other people, right? So, most of you would have been in Ideas Group. If you are not there, just join the Telegram group where you post a question, you'll get the answer in 5 minutes.
If you are a girl, you get an answer faster.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You can put a proper picture. It's an picture. It's really good. The membership is right now at 2,000 people probably.
Yeah, right now we are hitting 2,000 and our goal is to increase it to at least 10,000 plus Telegram.
We have to change the picture now.
Too late.
Sending a girl picture is faster.
Yeah.
For any guy.
And the other thing is that you try to look for some subscription service where it's affordable. So Partly and Jay, they're representing Om Kumar. Om Kumar is my friend. So he's a veteran, sitting in India. So he has got very good insight into these coins.
So I want to share a story.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
My personal story, and I came here especially for Jack first, and Jay, of course.
So there both are. I'm in the financial industry. I'm probably working for like close to 15 years now in financial industry. JP Morgan. I'm in Citigroup right now with Deutsche, and my major job was technical analysis and fundamental analysis and working with the capital markets. When I was introduced to crypto and to Jax, and I was like, what the hell is crypto? Like, I cannot buy a coin which I don't even have balance sheet for. So it doesn't go in my brain, because the first thing I check is the balance sheet. Like, what is the company's profit? What are they making? What is the sales? Is the sales increasing? Is the profit increasing? Okay, what is the EPS? What is earning per share? Now I can pay for that share, and I can say, okay, this is going to go up, this is going to go up, go down. I mean, like, dude, yesterday this was $5 and today it is like $10. How can that be possible? What on earth is going on? So I was very confused, and I started with $1,000. And $1,000 for somebody will be really high. $1,000 for somebody like Jack probably would be like nothing. But $1,000 for me was something.
Yeah, right? Pocket.
So it depends on person to person. So I started with the $1,000, and I started my first account in Coinbase. Moved that money into Bittrex, and wow, excited! I made 2,000 out of 1,000. I'm like a kid, right? Wow, $1,000 more I can buy an iPhone X, right? So it's very interesting. And when I started reading, this market is like crazy right now. And something about Google is, when you Google, most of the time you read wrong information first than the right information. So you need an eye, what exactly is correct. So you need an insight with big players. You need people who understand the business, who are into the crypto market for a couple of years. And that's how Crypto Simplified helped me out. Though Crypto Simplified is recently introduced, however, we as a group help each other out. Because I used to read about 3 coins, and I used to go to Jax and Jax, I think this one is really 10x one. And Jax said, no, this looks like a fraud company. Look at their Google Maps. The office is like a hut somewhere in China. Doesn't look correct to me. Some small things. So this is how this group has really benefited me from making my $1,000 to probably maybe 20x, 30x times right now. And to more 300 times X, that's what I'm planning in 2018 and 19. So if you guys are the first 5%, as Jack said, I think joining a good group will really give you a lot of insight on what to buy, what levels. Like somebody was telling me, okay, somebody was asking the question, like, when should I sell? There is no level to sell here, or there is no level to buy here. The way the market is going is like this. It's making every day a new high and a new bottom, a new high and a new bottom. So everybody is going to be a winner today or tomorrow for next 5 years up till the regulations come into it. But out of the 1,400 coins, and every day, only one more. Yeah. Every day there are 500 coins getting added to new ICOs. Crypto Simplified and people like Jax and Joy can help us out to select 15 best or 20 best, which are really going to be the next one which are coming, like NEO. NEO was suggested. I bought NEO at 32. It's 184 today. When I look at it, I was like, wow, this is the best investment. And it's probably going to go to 1,000. When Jack suggested Ethereum was just $400, and I was like, Jack, are you sure? It's like, yeah, Ethereum is the platform. Nobody can trade without Ethereum. And today Ethereum is $1,500. So, that's why I think this is going to help you all out. I just wanted to share my personal story. Sorry.
Yeah, great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. So essentially, yes, when it comes to cryptocurrency, look at these quotes. Different roads often leads to beautiful destinations. Yes, definitely, it's not a smooth path. It's a rough path. Yes, we need to protect your capital, and at the same time, there are a ton of opportunities in the market, right? So, at this point in time, earlier I used to spend a lot of time on cryptocurrency, but I'm spending only 25% on the cryptocurrency. The biggest thing is the ICOs, and I'm going to talk about the rest of the stuff. So the next topic that we are going to cover is ICOs. Just like IPO?
No, switching it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Just like IPO, initial public offering, its initial coin offering, and you have to be very careful with ICOs. You have seen some examples where they raise money and they vanish, right? And there are some ICOs where Viram said it's just a hut or somewhere there, there's no physical address, there is money, right? So you need to do thorough research when you are investing in ICOs, okay? And in ICOs also, many of the ICOs, US residents are not eligible to participate, right? So keep those points in mind, okay? So this is an example of Wabi. Look at this Wabi. It's from ICO. If you look at in US dollars, it's 16 times. 16 times since ICO, right? So you need to identify the best of the best ICOs, okay, and then invest, right? Let's say every week you see turn up, every month turn up ICOs are coming up, but you need to do thorough research. Thorough research is possible, let's if you have infinite amount of time, right? Individual cannot do. So it is what forming the group, collaborating with others definitely helps. Okay. So these are some ICO guidelines we put together here. The restrictions are very important. If you look at this one, here say, I mean you won't be able to, and we convert it into PDF, so we will not be able to can't participate, USA and China. Right? So these kind of information, this is coming from ICO drop. All you have to do is, if you want to look at the ICO, research about the ICO, just Google ICO drop and the coin, the ICO name. You'll be able to get a lot of information, right?
Yes, how will you find out what ICO is coming?
Yeah, that's ICO. There's a ton of calendars. ICO calendar is there, and you will be able to, you know, upcoming ICOs. You will be able to just
Google it. Like most of the time when you look at ICOs, there is 20 in a month, 2025. You don't know which one is good. You have to go through each ICO to evaluate all the factors, check each box to make sure they are good or not.
Yeah.
There is teams that are doing it. That's why I was saying earlier, like, you don't know whether it is genuine or not, like Dogecoin, like, boom, money is gone just like that. Overnight it disappears.
Yeah.
But so Wabi is one of our suggestions from Crypto Simplified. I'm very proud to say that. But our people from India, like Om, we use his name, he's a good guy. But he suggested it. Hey, this has value for this reasons. We all trusted it at 16 times now. But we did not go nuts and invested the money like that. We only invested one Ethereum back. It was $312 Ethereum.
Yeah,
16 times when it was listed, we took the money. So one strategy, like he was saying earlier, Jax, don't invest the money that you can't afford to lose. That's one. The second thing is, I will just add on to it, which Jax also says sometimes, maybe he's not saying today, which is always take your money, like invest it back. Once you get the profit, take it back, ride with the house money. That's free money. Who cares bubble burst tomorrow or day after? You're just riding it with the profit you have. You can take your investment plus 20% back and then ride with it. Depends on your personal risk tolerance level and strategy. You can always do that. I mean, nobody's telling you to keep everything. Nothing can go for infinite. That's one thing I want to add.
Yeah, so essentially, yes, when it comes to the ICO, let's say you identify a good ICO. So look at this one, you know, if you go to ICO drop, you will have the information here, you know, the height, what is the height, what is the risk score, okay? So you will have all that information. What is the interest? High interest, low interest, right? So you can find these factors, and we are going to cover a few things on the next slide. So in this example, let's say you identify a coin and you participated, and it is for US citizens, US residents. Then let's say, you know, the coin is listed, right? Coin is listed and it is trading 10x. So the best thing to do is that take out your investment capital, right? Whatever you invested, and at least at least you have protected something. You have taken out something. So that is the reason why any coin, you know, I'm not a hold forever kind of guy. Always I take 20% out all the time. Any coin. Yeah. So,
Jax, I just wanted to add one thing here. So, as Jay mentioned, Crypto Simplified has also suggested quite a few ICOs. One of the best ICOs he suggested was ETN. Many of you might not have heard of it, but ETN was allowed for the US residents, and many of us have applied for that. The coin was 1 cent, and right now it is trading at 16 cents. It went to 20 cents and now came back to 16 cents. So the Crypto Simplified OMN team who are doing the backbone, like groundwork for us, suggesting which are the ICOs for the US, which are the ICOs which US team cannot do. And for the regular ones, the coins, what they are doing is they are giving you the buy price. That at this price you can jump in the coin. Then they give the targets, multiple targets. That this is the first target, second target, third target. After that, it's up to you. If you want to continue, if you want to get out the entire thing, they are also suggesting the stop losses. So all those things, what we are seeing right now, what Jay, Jax, everybody has shown us so far, many of those things will be given you as just a small thing, and you just need to read through that. You will understand most of the things. So whatever strategies Jack is suggesting right now is very important, and this is what the crux of his knowledge, Jay's knowledge, everybody's knowledge. And on top of that, if you are novice, if you are a newcomer like me, I started, like ETN was my first ICO, and I was not knowing what to put. I put a little more money. Then I was just praying, crossing the fingers that okay, shouldn't go this negative balance or anything. But now I am very much happy that Om suggested me that ICO. So yeah, Jack.
Slow back.
Yeah.
Slow back. Alright guys, so other guidelines are you need to look at the social media presence. Let's say if you are participating in ICO, go and join the Telegram group, sign up for the newsletter, and watch. You know what is the crowd say about it. So, and in fact, you know, in Telegram you can go and ask the questions too. You know, if you want to understand more, you can go and ask the questions and get the answers.
So, what kind of companies can offer ICOs? I mean, what would be the background of doing?
Yeah, we are going to cover that a little after a while. So, right now, you know, many people are raising money as part of the ICO because there are less regulations now, right? So many people are trying to raise money, but in that only 5 to 10% of the companies are legit, and you know they are doing some work. They have some prototype, they have some product. But many of the ICOs, they are raising money on white paper. So which is why you know you have to do thorough analysis, right?
I mean, if you're a small investor, do you even suggest going into ICO?
Yes, why not? Why not? I mean, certain portion of your portfolio you can allocate for ICOs, because look at this growth here. You know, if you are getting about 10x in 3 months' time, it's good, right?
What are the percentage wise? What's the success rate of an ICO?
It all depends on your research. Let's say recently
I'm based on you have been trading for long, right? So what was the success rate? Not your portfolio, in general, the amount of coins which came out in the market versus who came out with an ICO versus.
Are you asking about just the ICO to the listing?
To listing versus they going up or sometimes they take the money on ICO.
Yeah. Right. So essentially, it all depends on, you know, when you look at the ICO market, there are few things you need to consider here. Let's say, guys, no crosstalk. Yeah. So if the BTC price is going up and up and up, okay, at that time you will see appreciation for your ICOs, right? So what has happened in October-November time frame? It was trading below the ICO price. So the benchmark is BTC, right? If the BTC is stable, these ICOs returns are more. Otherwise, it's less. You know, some of my friends they invested in October-September time frame when the BTC was crashing, and after listing, it was trading at 50% of the ICO price. It is possible. So that is the reason why, you know, the research is very important. And other things is, you need to look at the white paper and see what is the unique selling proposition, right? Is it similar product is in the market, or is it something they are trying to just raise money, right? And look at the team, right? And did they have any experience in the past? Okay, so those kind of aspects you can check. And also, this is one red flag here. If they have huge bonus structure, their goal is to raise money quickly, right? So they are giving 20%, 30% bonus, right? So if they are giving more bonus, that means that they want to raise money quickly without the proper prototype or product. So that is very important. And then you need to see the competing ICOs, right? For example, Power Ledger is there, right? Then the Restart Energy, right? So look at the similar coins that were launched and how they perform, and from that you can gauge the market, right? So you need to check whether they have a beta version prototype running or it's just they are raising money on white paper, right? Since there are less regulations, you got to be very careful in ICO market, right? So we don't want to invest something and that guy runs away. We don't want to go to that level, right? So this cryptocurrency and ICO is one part. So at this time, I am spending only 25% of the time on these two, entire ICOs and cryptocurrency. So you may ask, what am I doing the rest of the time, right? So there are a ton of opportunities in the market, right? So we are going to cover those aspects now. So that is the reason why I said and beyond, right? So since I said earlier, we have just scratched the surface, and we are the top 5% of the people, and there are many ICOs are coming. So as a team, as a member of this 5% of the population, there are a ton of opportunities are coming up. So we are going to talk about those opportunities. So this is very important. Individually, I would not have done this, right? So I have a team, okay, who do a lot of analysis, and we bounce. I may be expert in trading, short-term trading. Somebody is expert in long-term trading. So work with your friends, like-minded people, and collaborate. So this is one way of expanding your reach, right? End of the day, we all have 24 hours, right? So let's say you are working with a friend, like-minded people, right? You multiply, right? Whatever the result they do, they can share that, right? So the ideas group is the same example, right? So many people are already doing research, right? You can ask any question and you can get the answers, right? So that is one way you can do it. And those who are hardcore developers, get into the blockchain technologies. Understand, start making a small prototypes. Okay, that will take you to an ICO. It's possible. And also, one of my friends is closely working with MIT folks. In MIT, many of the folks are working on building prototypes. So if you are strong in the coding, that is one area you can go. Okay, and look at the private ICOs. Some of the ICOs, you can participate in private ICOs too, if you have good connections. So at this time,